Knuthenborg Safari Park is absolutely amazing and has way more to offer than you'd expect from a typical safari park. If you have seen my top favorite zoos in Europe, you already know how excited I am about it, but today I want to take you on a closer look at what makes this park so special. Before we get started though, what's your favorite safari park? Let me know in the comments. So let's head to Lolland, a Danish island you can easily reach from Germany by ferry. Just outside the town of Maribu lies the safari park, set on the grounds of an old estate first mentioned way back in 1372. And honestly, you can feel that history the moment you drive through the entrance gate and onto the massive property. In total, the area spans around 600 hectares. About 400 of them are used for the safari park. Just for comparison, Tierpark Berlin, Europe's largest landscape zoo, covers only 120 hectares. And when you drive from the entrance into the very first safari area, you'll immediately get the feeling that everything here is spacious, wide open and vast. With donkeys and valet blacknecks waiting here, it's not exactly the most spectacular lineup Knuthenborg has to offer, but in this beautiful natural setting, they still make for a perfect welcoming committee, especially since you're encouraged to stop your car and get out to meet the animals up close. Of course, in such a massive enclosure, the donkeys and goats can easily retreat if they want to, and if you take a closer look, the variant terrain with different types of substrate and climbing elements like tree trunks is really well designed for the animals. Like I said, this might not be the park's big showstopper, but maybe that's exactly why I like it so much. Right from the start, it slows you down and lets you really take in the atmosphere. But when you keep going, you'll soon come to the classic safari experience you'd expect in a park like this. The savannah enclosure with giraffes, antelopes, ostriches and rhinos takes you to Africa in a way that classic zoo savannah enclosures with similar animals simply can't quite match. But the real magic of this area might only reveal itself if you spend the night in one of the safari tents at the so-called Camp Masai Mara, fittingly named after a nature reserve location in the Serengeti region of Kenya. Here I can tell you from personal experience, being able to watch the animals late into the evening and early in the morning is something truly special. Then you are truly able to watch the animals moving in large groups across this vast landscape, showing the kind of natural herd behavior that you won't see if you're just passing by. Being able to spend so much time with the animals here was a wonderful experience, and I was never bored for a second. There was always something new to observe. Not just the occasional reverse driving truck, but also moments like local birds picking parasites of the rhino skin, just like in Africa. But even if you don't want to spend the night, which to be fair isn't exactly cheap, the regular safari experience from your car is already pretty amazing. Once again, the animals have plenty of space to avoid those strange metal boxes full of overly curious apes, but since they are used to the attention, they are by no means always keeping their distance. And when an eland steps in your way, you suddenly get a whole new sense of just how big the world's largest antelope really is. From here, a short drive takes us to what's known as Limpopo land. There is a big parking space available, so you should always get a spot, and then you can enter a beautiful and well-organized zoo shop. I picked up these art prints for my hallway, for example. It's also a great spot to grab a bite, with lots of vegetarian and vegan options on the menu as well. And once you're recharged, kids of all ages can go wild on the massive adventure playground. It really has everything you need to burn off some energy. There's even a small roller coaster and a log flume ride. So if you are traveling with children or just feel like one. Limpopo land screams fun and excitement. And once everyone had their fill of fun, the next highlight is just a short drive away. The large sliding gates you pass through here probably already make it clear predators await. It used to be more common to drive through lion enclosures, but here instead a wolf pack roams a spacious forest area. In addition, or as an alternative, you can also watch the animals through a large glass pane within a cabin, and here we actually got even closer to them. As far as I know though, the wolves will soon have to make way for the lions, since a much larger new enclosure is being planned for them, but more on that later. For now, we drive from the wolves over to the next safari enclosure. Here we meet a herd of impressive bison, and as you can see in the background, you can also stay overnight here in the so-called Camp Wood Buffalo, where from the cabins you can currently still look into the wolf enclosure. Besides these giants of the American prairie, the spacious enclosure is also home to moose. On both my visits, the moose prefer to stay in their own area at the back, which isn't strictly separated from the bison grazing fields, though even this rear section is very large and offers the moose everything they need, including bathing ponds. From here we continue on for quite a stretch right through untouched nature. There are no animals kept here, but the stunning landscape is still absolutely worth experiencing. I still clearly remember how during our first visit we asked ourselves, is that the sea over there? Are we heading straight towards the ocean? And the answer was yes. And even though it's a bit of a blemish that you can also see an industrial harbor from here, the view of the sea is still absolutely spectacular. How many zoos or safari parks are located right by the sea like this? If you know any others, feel free to mention them in the comments. Also, a large group of mute swans often gathers in the bay. I think I've never seen so many swans in one place. Truly impressive. On the horizon we can also spot the small island of Haneur, where many other bird species can be observed, including cormorants. And honestly, when it comes to nature experiences here, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The many pheasants roaming this area are a sign that they were once released here for hunting. You're also very likely to spot hares here on the grounds, but I would be wary of them. This one definitely looked guilty, probably a carrot heist. With a bit of luck you might even run into some roe deers, and from our experience they don't seem to be that shy. Beyond the bay, the route continues through the next safari enclosures featuring more hoofed animals. The first habitat leads through a forested area where axis deer live, though they didn't show themselves to us. But in the open grassland that follows, we were able to spot several species again. The Bactrian camels were hard to miss, of course. The water buffalo, on the other hand, remained completely hidden during our first drive-through, which once again just shows how vast this area really is. Later on, however, we were luckier and got to observe them beautifully in this stunning natural backdrop. We also spotted both sika and fallow deer between forest and meadows. Since 2023, the area has also been home to Przewalski's horses, kept in a separate section, but also with a lot of space to roam, of course. From here we move on, passing the elephant enclosure for now, and continue a bit further to a parking lot. From there the route continues on foot. That's where we come across a wonderfully designed dinosaur camp. The first thing that catches the eye is, of course, the massive T-Rex skeleton standing between the tents, but there's much more to discover inside the research tents. Knowledge is shared in playful ways, perfect for kids of all ages. For example, there's a sand pit where they can dig for fossils themselves. And in a small shop nearby you can buy not only plush toys, but even real fossils. But the real highlight awaits us once we step through the gate to the past. Because here in the forest, surrounded by western red cedars, there are numerous dinosaur models to discover. From what we could tell, the figures are designed according to the latest scientific understanding, and they feel very much like modern animatronics. As you can already see, the figures move and even have a few tricks and surprises up their sleeve.
Hello, who are you then? You're a friendly guy, right? Or are you one of these mean big ones?
All in all, this place is a dream for dinosaur fans and easily the best dino area I've ever visited. It's not just the figures themselves that are impressive, they are also set within a beautiful natural landscape. The towering western red cedars especially give the whole area an incredibly immersive atmosphere. And the signs with facts about the dinosaurs are not just in Danish, but also in English and even German, though they are really quite low to the ground. Right next to the dinosaur forest is a small Australia section featuring some living fossils. In a large walk-through enclosure, emus share their space with red-necked wallabies. You can get quite close to the animals here, though they always have plenty of space to retreat if they want to. These may not be rare species in zoos, but at least the emus are a perfect addition to the dinosaur area, since they already look quite a bit like raptors. There are a few other animals in this area as well. A large lake sits just beyond, surrounded by monuments and plenty of picnic tables. In the lake are not only kois, but also European catfish, which can grow over 4 meters long. These fish were completely wiped out in Denmark, and the safari park is taking part in a project to reintroduce them into their natural habitat. From the parking lot, we'll continue on foot for now, because just around the corner lies a huge industrial hall. And this building serves as the indoor facility for the elephants. Sure, this does not look very flashy, but the elephants are given plenty of space to move around, along with several back stalls for separating individuals when needed. So all in all, they've managed to create a really solid indoor setup for elephants without breaking the bank. The only thing that's still missing is an indoor pool. As you can see, there's a platform that offers a great overview of the space. That's the only vantage point though, and unfortunately it's only accessible via stairs, so it's not accessible to everyone, and that is an issue unless the elephants are outside anyway. And while the indoor facility is quite alright, the outdoor enclosure is where it really gets impressive. Because as you can already tell, it's big. Seriously big. In fact, at 140,000 square meters, it's one of the largest elephant enclosures in all of Europe and probably the entire world. The elephants share this space with zebras, which you might have noticed were missing from the Africa safari area, and the huge area has been beautifully designed for both species, here also including a large bathing pond. And for visitors, there are several great vintage points to view the enclosure from different angles. One of the best views is from a raised hilltop lookout, and if you look into the background from here, you'll notice there are cabins as well. So yes, you can actually spend the night here with a view of the elephants. So really, there is not much to complain about, except maybe that this massive elephant facility isn't used for a breeding group, but instead as a retirement home. Lara, Juangla, Jenny and Ramboline are all elderly former circus elephants. And that's also the plan going forward, to give aging African elephant ladies a comfortable retirement here. Honestly, I just hope I get to retire this luxuriously someday. Right next to the massive elephant enclosure, you'll find one of the beautiful estate buildings on the property. This one has stood here since 1865. Inside there's a very well-designed evolution museum. The collection is compact but fascinating, focusing on the first animals to step onto land during the Permian period. Following a path marked on the floor, you move through dimly lit rooms where the fossils are beautifully staged, especially with very clever lighting. And the interactive displays don't just offer information in Danish, but also in English and German. But that was just the beginning of what's in store here. A short walk through a small wooded area takes you to the second part of the exhibition, and this one really packs a punch. In a large hall, you'll find even more impressive specimens, mostly real skeletons, showcasing the age of the dinosaurs, including Big Joe, the most complete and best preserved Allosaurus fossil known to date. But the Ice Age is also represented here with a number of prehistoric mammals on display, including the skeleton of a giant sloth. Once again, the lighting setup is incredibly atmospheric, and when combined with the immersive sound design, it creates a truly powerful experience. Together with the dinosaur forest, this exhibition makes Knuthenborg an absolute must-see for any dino fan. No video could ever do it justice. It's something you really have to experience for yourself. I honestly still get chills thinking about this place. It really sticks with you. From the museum, we drive quite a distance through the park before reaching the next parking area. From here you get another view over the savannah before heading to an enclosure you can visit by vehicle, just not with your own. Instead, you hop on a tractor-pulled train. This is where hamadryas baboons live, and you can even buy food for them. Back in the 90s, people used to feed them spaghetti, but of course that's long been banned. In general, I have mixed feelings about feeding zoo animals. It's a fun experience, sure, but it doesn't exactly encourage natural behavior. At least the baboons seemed well fed, and during our afternoon ride, most of them couldn't have cared less about us, so they were more focused on their own social dynamics and activities. One very special natural behavior you can see here in the evening, because then the baboons climb up the trees to sleep just like they would in nature. And sadly, I don't think there are many zoos where you can witness something like this. It's also just refreshing to see a baboon habitat that has nothing in common with the typical concrete monkey rocks you still find in many other zoos. During our first visit in 2023, there were also 2 aviaries here with tamarins, but they have since been removed. The enclosures were okay, but in a park like Knuthenborg, they did feel a little bit out of place. Just behind the baboon area, there's a beautiful, spacious woodland enclosure for rhesus macaques, and since last year, Barbary macaques live here as well. When we visited, their outdoor space wasn't quite ready yet, so they were still inside their indoor quarters, but by now they should be out in their really great looking enclosure. On that first visit, we also got to enjoy a walk through lemur enclosure, like the ones you'll find in many other zoos as well. What was unusual here was that they shared their space with muntjacs. Sadly, due to serious illness, the lemurs had to be euthanized in February of 2024, but now there's a new group of ring-tailed lemurs, and other species are to be expected as well. There is still one more drive-through area to go, but we have to backtrack for that quite a bit. Eventually, we arrive at the estate's main manor house, and just beyond it lies another expansive enclosure. Once again, visitors are invited to step out of their vehicles and meet the animals without any barriers in their way. Because just like in the first enclosure at the beginning, this area isn't home to wild animals, but to Shetland ponies, miniature zebus and llamas. And yes, granted, that might might not sound all too spectacular at first, but the setting right next to the Baltic Sea absolutely is. In my opinion, it makes for a truly special and one-of-a-kind experience, even if these animals are ones you'll find in just about every zoo, but experiencing them like this, that's a rare treat. The animals enjoy a vast amount of space, which they eagerly and joyfully make use of, and thanks to that, they can be kept in large herds, something that much better reflects their natural behavior. At the same time, they show no fear of people. You can clearly see that in moments like this one. The mother, standing watch over her sleeping foal, didn't see me as a threat at all and let me get incredibly close. These animals are clearly used to being around visitors. It's the kind of place where you can easily slow down and spend a while just soaking it all in. But sadly, we have to move on. As much as I would love to go raving on about this spot for a few more minutes. Then again, I think the images really speak for themselves. From here you drive quite a bit further through the beautiful natural landscape before reaching the next parking area. From there it's just a short walk to the final highlight of the visit. And I mean that quite literally, because you'll be heading up onto a long elevated walkway that leads through a dense patch of forest, home to one of the most naturalistic tiger habitats I've ever seen. At first glance it looks like they've simply added a few bathing ponds and scattered tree trunks throughout the area, but in such a beautiful forest setting, you really don't need much more to create a truly great enclosure for tigers. Despite the elevated vantage point, spotting the tigers from the 5-meter high walkway can still be tricky due to the dense foliage. But that makes it all the more rewarding when you do catch a glimpse. It becomes a special kind of moment. Of course, it's perfect if you happen to be there during feeding time. I mean, you can already probably tell by the footage that's an amazing experience, and especially those gorgeous slow motion clips by my friend Sven turned out beautifully, and since he's so proud of them, be sure to leave a comment telling him how much you like them, alright? And Sven, I hope you know I would love to have you on every zoo trip, not because of your great personality, but because of your great shots. Okay, all joking aside, on another visit, one I unfortunately missed, Sven even got to witness a tiger catching one of the local pheasants. A completely natural hunting moment that you'd hardly ever get to see in such an authentic way at most zoos. But even without such rare moments, seeing the tigers active here is a totally different experience from most other zoos. There are 4 enclosures in total, covering an impressive 60,000 square meters. According to Knuthenborg at least, that makes it the largest tiger facility in Europe. Currently, one of the 4 areas isn't home to tigers, but to lions rescued from a zoo in Ukraine. That's also the only enclosure that can be viewed not only from above, but through a large glass panel as well. As mentioned earlier, the lions are expected to move into their own habitats soon, replacing the wolves apparently, and naturally that new area is also going to span several tens of thousands of square meters. Of course it is. Knuthenborg only can do things in a big way. So by now it probably won't come as a surprise when I say that this is quite possibly the best park I've ever visited in terms of animal welfare. At least when it comes to the enclosures and their size, because most zoos simply can't offer habitats of this scale. But beyond that, the enormous park grounds also make for a truly unique visitor experience. Sure, other safari parks also have areas you can explore on foot, but they are usually clearly separated from the drive-through parts. In Knuthenborg, on the other hand, you're free to drive through the entire area in your own car, which honestly is the only practical way to get around given its sheer size. The road network here spans a total of 15 kilometers. So you drive through the safari section, hop out at one of the parking areas, explore something on foot, then get back in the car and drive somewhere else, and that creates a completely different kind of visit that I've never experienced quite like this before. And some of these stops even offer real surprises that I'd never expected in a safari park, most notably the huge Dinosaur area and the Evolution Museum. And all of this is set in a truly stunning natural environment. I was already blown away after my first visit, and now that I've also spent a night here, I can wholeheartedly also recommend doing the same. Sure, you can technically see everything in a day, but if you stay overnight, you can take your time and soak it all in without rushing. That way your visit isn't just impressive, but also very relaxing. And honestly, I wish I could stay here an entire week. And the different lodge options really do offer special experiences. As I said, we stayed at Camp Masai Mara, which probably feels the most like a classic safari experience, but beyond the ones I've already mentioned, you can also spend the night near the baboons or the tigers. Plus, there are several estate cottages located outside the animal areas that are also available to book, and from what Sven showed me, those offer a fantastic atmosphere as well. That said, even without an overnight stay, this park is absolutely worth the trip. And while other safari parks like Beekse Bergen in the Netherlands might have a wider range of species, Knuthenborg offers something truly unique through its overall setting. For any zoo enthusiast, it's an experience you simply have to check off your list. Personally, I'd place it right at the top of your to-do list. And while we're at it, I can also highly recommend visiting the islands of Lolland and Falster. Not only is Falster home to the crocodile zoo I already introduced to you, and also the former Guldborgsund Zoo, now reinvented as Pangea Park Falster, but these islands themselves have a distinct charm with lovely small towns and vast stretches of untouched nature. For example, we went bird watching in a nearby nature reserve, which turned out to be a great experience in itself. So yeah, even though this isn't a sponsored video, go visit Lolland and Falster, it's absolutely worth it. And hey, if anyone from the tourism board happens to be watching, feel free to sponsor me next time. And with that, I'll sign off, completely thrilled. I hope you're having an amazing summer, see a lot of great zoos, and I look forward to sharing many more zoo videos with you. So be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and let me know your thoughts on Knuthenborg Safari Park in the comments. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. So that's it from me, take care. Farewell, or as we say in Germany, auf Wiedersehen. Ich komme auf jeden Fall wieder, denn Dänemark, more like Dänemark. We Germans are so funny, aren't we?